Do you remember Mage Knight? If so, good, because this video is not about Mage Knight. Hey kids, welcome back to the channel. I am Uncle Frank, and I hope that you are having a great day. Today, I feel like we should sit down and have a conversation about one of the more serious topics you can discuss when it comes to the business side of a hobby store. And that is, where do you draw the line when it comes to the behavior of your customers? You see, the LGS, the local game store, is as much a business as it is a hangout, a gathering place, if you will, for the community to sit around and try to have a good time playing the games that they enjoy. And it's imperative for LGSs that their rules are upheld, not necessarily strictly, but strictly enough that the peace and decorum of not only the gathering place, the local hangout spot, but also the business itself isn't negatively affected. Because unlike with a lot of other businesses where people just come in, buy their things, and leave, the LGS is a place where customers can spend hours just playing their games. And more importantly than other businesses, the environment, the basic feel, the vibes of the store can really affect how long and how much money people want to spend in your store. And as the LGS owner, it's important that you recognize that while it is your store and you do have a significant degree of control over what is and isn't allowed in your building, at the same time, the community, the regular players who show up week to week, day to day to buy your stuff, play in your store, etc., they also go a long way towards not necessarily fostering, but creating the environment that decides who comes in as regular customers or who just shows up once, buys what they want, and never returns. Now, you might be one of the handful of LGS owners who never plans on holding tournaments or events at your location. And if that is the case, that's totally fine, but the rest of this video really isn't for you. For the rest of the LGS owners in America who hold tournaments, events, etc. at their business, I feel like it's very important that you go into your business with ground rules decided at day one that are strictly adhered to, enough so that you don't risk compromising your business over a few bad actors in the community. So here's the deal. When I say that you should have ground rules, what I'm really referring to is you should have hard lines that you don't let people cross, or at the very least, hard rules, hard lines that you're constantly on the lookout for. Because here's the thing, depending on your local community, you can be more strict or more relaxed with how you treat your customers. Some LGS owners treat their customers like their family, and other LGS owners have a strictly business relationship with the entirety of their customer base. I've met store owners who are willing to just go out and have a break from their business and go out to have lunch with a few members of their local play groups. And I've also met store owners who've never learned more about their customers than their names. I think it's important to have these hard lines that you don't let people cross, because while some communities might be okay with one kind of activity or one kind of behavior, other communities might not. And it's important that you, as the store owner, can identify what kind of behaviors are accepted in your local area with the people you expect to show up at your store to play the games you're trying to sell to people. And it can be difficult. Not everybody who goes into the LGS business model is necessarily a good people person. They might have a difficult time understanding certain behaviors and what might set someone off, what might make some people uncomfortable. And there's really not much I can say on that. It's a skill you're going to try to have to learn. Wow, that came out horribly wrong. What I'm trying to say is that it's important that you figure out what is and isn't okay with the local players. Because if you have enough players who are uncomfortable or disgruntled with the actions of a handful of people in the community, that can be enough to cause some serious damage to a part of or your entire business. Let me give you an example. In my area, there was actually, once upon a time, a very large, thriving Digimon community. People were playing the crap out of that game, especially in two of the local stores. And for a while, there were some really large tournaments with some pretty impressive turnouts. However, over the course of, I want to say, 3 months, a handful of individuals, mostly two guys, but a third and a fourth were involved. Just the bad actions, the negative kind of bad sportsmanship of these people gradually and then very suddenly drove away pretty much the entirety of that Digimon community to just go play in other towns, and Digimon tournaments never really started back up again. As a store owner, if you can identify certain behaviors that are making enough of your players uncomfortable, you can kind of nip the problem in the bud by pulling these individuals aside and having a conversation with them, telling them, hey, that behavior is not okay here. I need you to tone it down. And if they do, then perfect, problem solved. But if they don't and they continue to be a problem, then you can just kindly ask them to leave. Very rarely I've found when people are confronted by their LGS owner, do they continue to try and be a problem intentionally. Most of the time they do get their act together and try to behave better for their local group. Once or twice I have seen somebody become worse, but that's a rarity, I promise. I suppose what I'm really trying to say with this video is, as a store owner and as somebody who's trying to foster a community, it's important that you get familiar with the players who show up on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis to try and figure out what they're comfortable with and how they would like to play their games, what kind of environment they'd be comfortable with. Because after all, the happier you can make your players, the more loyal they will be as customers, which is just always a good thing insofar as I'm concerned. Anywho, that's all I've got for you kids today. Let me know how the video looks. I'm trying out a new lighting system here, and it's very bright for me, but I want to know how it all looks to you. Anywho, if you liked this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment below, and leaving a like, sharing this video with a friend, all that wonderful jazz. If you want to see your uncle healthy, consider really leaving a like, because for every like this video gets, I will be doing a push-up in the next video. So, you got something to look forward to. My previous video got 31 views. I'm going to do this in 2 sets. That's 16. And 15 makes 31.